Dear brothers, happy Friday, baby. That's all I got. It's the end of today. No, it's Friday. I'm stoked about it. Big weekend, putting the home gym together. I'm jacked and tan about that. Got all the stuff in. Bought a bunch of stuff. Guys, let me tell you something. Facebook Marketplace for used gear. You can't beat it. I bought a full set of almost 400 pounds worth of Rogue bumpers for like, I don't know, $400, which is never a thing. It was basically $1 a pound, which is pretty rare. And then I got a barbell and a tree and all the mats. It was just quality weekend. If you guys need stuff, Facebook Marketplace, quality stuff. I know it can be a little creepy sometimes. Sometimes people are weird and they give you weird vibes, but that's about it. Also, we live in Florida where water kind of sucks. Poland Spring, God bless it. BJ's down here sells it. And my wife and I have just been buying the pallets of like 40 of them because it's the best water that's ever been. And it's from the great state of Maine, which is my homeland. And that's a beautiful thing. On this Friday morning, we're going to talk a little something about warming up. So we're going to talk about getting strong today, or at least how we prepare to go get strong. So most important part about warming up is that I need to dispel some myths about some nonsense when it comes to warming up, and then explain what we need to actually be doing before we go get jacked. So I'm going to give you all a few issues or points first, and then we're going to discuss them, afterwards. So the things that we need to understand, or the issues, misconceptions, are as follows. If you are spending more than 15 to 20 minutes warming up, you are probably wasting a great deal of time. Number 2, static stretching should usually not be involved or happening during your warm-up. Number 3, doing nothing, going in cold turkey and just lifting heavy weights before you lift is not a great idea. Number 4, you should not be spending more than a few minutes on mobility specifically. Number 5, foam rolling, lacrosse balls, Theraguns, any quote unquote soft tissue instruments should be utilized sparingly, and again, only for a couple of minutes. So let me explain all of this so we can get a better grasp for warming up effectively. Because here's what you need to know. The entire point of the warm-up is to prepare your body for what the session asks of you. First and foremost, the most important part of this is what I call getting hot. You need to get your body temperature up, get blood flow to your muscles, get your heart rate and your respiration rate elevated, and quite simply, just get the body moving. That is the primary goal of your warm-up. Now, do not misconstrue this as, I don't need you doing 35 to 40 minutes on the elliptical and then working out. You don't need to be sweating profusely or go do 50 burpees before you warm up. Because one of the issues that we have is I don't need you getting a bunch of fatigue before I ask you to lift. The primary purpose of going to lift weights is to get stronger. And if you're exhausted before you go lift weights, I'm going to limit the response we're going to get, and we're not going to be able to get as strong, and that kind of ruins it for us. Not what I want. So understand that you simply need to feel like you are, for the most part, breaking a sweat. So we know that we need to get warm. We have to get hot. How do we do that? First thing, you can do some form of cardio, and this is what I have a lot of people do. Bike, row, walk uphill, run, etc. Anything that gets your body moving, again, gets you heated up. And strictly speaking, there are some people that can just go in, do 5 minutes on like an air bike, and they're good to go. Arm and leg bike, they've got blood flow, they're moving, they feel warm, go lift. I do that a lot. Now, if you were wanting to add a little bit to that, which most people you should, you need to do the movements that you're going to be performing in the workout. So what do I mean by that? let's say that you are bench pressing that day. So you spend maybe 3 minutes on the air bike, you get some blood flow, you go directly over to the bench press, you grab the bar, you do 15 to 20, very slow, very controlled, full range of motion reps. You then work up your weight. Let's say, for instance, that day, your normal working set, we're doing 4 sets of 6, and your sets of 6 are going to be at 200 pounds. That's what you've been working at. So you do the bar for 15 to 20 reps, slow, full range of motion, and then you go to basically like 50% of what you're expected to do that day. So 100 pounds, and you work on 6 good reps there. And then you basically work your way up until you get to your working sets. But that would be the whole warm up. You get on the bike and then you just start warming up with the exercise that you're going to do. That works just as well and has the exact same injury prevention as doing a big long warm up elsewhere without wasting all of that time. Okay. And this is borne out in all of our good data and research today. So understand something that gets missed here. They're like, well, what about the mobility part of that? The full range of motion that you're doing allows you to work on the mobility of the movement that you are trying to do, but it's with a lower weight. That's what mobility is, working on full range of motion with a lower weight so that your body gets used to being in that position, and it's warm at that point, which makes it better. So understand that if the goal of the warm-up is to prepare us for the movements that we are doing, then doing the movements at a lighter weight and with a little bit higher reps and full range of motion makes a whole lot of sense, doesn't it? Or am I just crazy on this Friday? Probably a mixture of both. So we've gotten on a bike, we've done the movement, or alternatively, you can get on a bike or whatever, and then do a mixture of comparable movements to what you're going to be doing that day. So for example, let's say that you have a squat and overhead press day. In your warm-up, you're going to do some kind of body weight squat, goblet squat, reverse lunges, and maybe pair those with shoulder stick-ups, lateral frontal raises, maybe some snow angels, push-up motions. You're simply going to pick movements that are comparable to what you're going to do in your exercises, and you work on them. That's going to get blood flow to them. It's going to get a little bit of nervous system potentiation to them. That's really it, guys. So now that we've talked through those, and I'll review them again. So first things first, we must get warm. How do we do that? We can get on a bicycle or do some kind of cardio with an elliptical or whatever. And you could just do that technically and get away with it. Ideally, you're going to do that, and you can go directly into the exercise you're going to do. Let's call it a back squat. You do 15 to 20 reps of a very low weight with full range of motion, which is building your mobility and getting your muscles ready to go. Or alternatively, you could pick some comparable motions like lunges, forward lunges, lateral lunges, goblet squat, etc., to get warmed up for what you're going to be doing. Now, the question becomes, how long should you be doing the warm-up movements that we just talked about? What I do for almost all of my clients is somewhere between 5 and 15 minutes. And this is tweaked based on their performance goals, or if we're dealing with maybe some nagging injuries or issues that need to be addressed prior to them working out, and sometimes just to their subjective preferences. Like some people just love doing some more like thoracic mobility work before they go lift. We might throw that in, and maybe that takes an extra minute or something. So there is some preferences there, but typically 15 minutes is my cap. I work with a lot of people that are pressed on time. A lot of men that I'm working with only have 30 to 40 minutes to work out. And if 20 minutes of that is warming up, we're wasting a lot of time. So I want to get them in, get them warm, and get lifting. If you are eating up a half hour or more on your warm-up and you are not a team sports or some kind of competitive athlete about to go play rugby or football or soccer or basketball, you're probably doing too much, and we're losing valuable time like I just talked about that should be utilized in you getting stronger. Now, the big rebuttal that I get from a lot of clients and people is that they need to work on their mobility before they lift. And Typically, once I've teased out some of the issues here, what I realize is when they say mobility, they mean they want to stretch. They want to do some more stretching movements. And understand that static stretching really does not have a place in your warm-up. The data is pretty clear. There's no benefit to performance, and there can even be a slight detriment. But that doesn't mean that it's useless. There are some people that I still, if they're like, hey, I just feel better when I do RDLs if I've done some like gentle static stretching. And typically they're not even really truly static stretching. They're doing some more dynamic movements. But nonetheless, if that makes them feel good before they do it and it's not hindering their performance, I'm okay with it. But one of the things I do tell clients, and one of the things my clients all do, is a daily mobility program, typically 5 out of 7 days of the week. But this is done outside of gym workout time. They do it maybe first thing in the morning, maybe they do it at night, but the whole point of it is to address whatever mobility deficits that we've assessed and go, hey, your right ankle is really stiff and it's affecting our ability to squat. We should probably work on that a little bit. So that little caveat aside, remember, the whole point of the lift, the whole point of your warm-up is to get the muscles and your body warm. Make sure it's mobile enough to tolerate whatever the movements you need it to do are, and then gradually begin loading that movement with full range of motion so that you can then go and get strong as hell. End of story. Again, actually, another issue that I hear. What about foam rolling and soft tissue work? Which I'm sure somebody on here has already been like, oh, I love to foam roll and soft tissue, and if I don't have somebody rub the shit out of my calf, I can't work out. Okay. Without going on a very long soapbox tirade, understand something. If you're doing 1 to 2 minutes of lacrosse ball, foam roller, soft tissue, whatever, I'm not going to complain. That's perfectly fine. If you feel like you have a more loose feeling after you've done that, which is very plausible, that's a finding that we have. I have that when I do it at times. Maybe you like foam rolling your quads or your thoracic spine or whatever. That's all good and well, as long as you follow all the other tenets of warming up. But if you are spending 10 to 15 minutes foam rolling or using lacrosse balls or theragunning the shit out of yourself, you are wasting very precious time and getting absolutely no performance benefit out of it. That's the end. There's a period there. I have no problem with foam rollers and all of those things. They don't do half the stuff that people think they do. But if they do make you feel better, you feel more loose and warm, knock yourself out. Go do it. No problem at all. But just make sure it's only taking up a couple of minutes of your warm-up. We can move on now. So, to wrap this puppy up today, priority number 1, get warm. End of story. Priority number 2, do the movements you're going to be doing or performing in the workout and gradually build them up with full range of motion, or do comparable movements of what you're going to be doing in the workout with, again, a full range of motion. Priority number 3, do not waste time on soft tissue work or static stretching. They are not necessarily going to improve your performance, and they can end up eating too much time that should be devoted to getting jacked and stronger and all that fun stuff. So remember something, boys. If, God forbid, you went to the hospital, let's say you had an infection, got sick, something, and you were laid up for a few weeks, your mobility is going to do you very little good outside of being able to roll in and out of bed and put shoes on and what have you. But if you have a bunch of muscle mass on you, you are going to be saved in the end because you have more muscle to spare. You're going to atrophy, everybody is, but if you've got a little bit more, it's not going to hurt you as much in the long run as if you don't have enough muscle. So if you're doing stuff that is delaying you getting more muscle, that is bad. Remember, strong, muscular people are harder to kill. It's going to be our Friday motto from now on. It's as simple as that. If you need any more help with that, or how to warm up, or you're struggling with this whole idea, or you want to yell at me about foam rollers, leave me a comment, send me a message. I'm happy to holler at you about it and have a lovely debate. It won't end well. Until then, have an incredible weekend. I am jacked about getting this gym put together. I'll share out the results with all you guys and get pictures. And I got to get some banners up if you guys have any Any ideas about what good gym banners I should put up, let me know. I've already got a couple of sweet ones. That's about it, boys. God bless. Be strong. Let's get after it this weekend. I love you all. See ya.